In the heart of San Jose, California, stands an architectural enigma. A mansion sprawling with over 160 rooms, twisting hallways, and staircases leading to nowhere. This is the Winchester Mystery House. A place born from tragedy, fueled by obsession, and haunted by whispers of the dead. This is no ordinary home, it is a monument to fear and the unknown. Our story begins in 1839 with the birth of Sarah Lockwood Pardee in New Haven, Connecticut. By all accounts, Sarah was brilliant and cultured. But it was her marriage to William Moore Winchester, heir to the Winchester repeating arms fortune, that would seal her fate. Together, they seemed destined for a life of wealth and privilege. Yet, fate had other plans. Tragedy struck in 1866 when Sarah and William's infant daughter, Annie, died of a rare disease. Years later, Sarah's husband succumbed to tuberculosis, leaving her a grieving widow. With her child and husband gone, Sarah inherited an immense fortune, $20 million, and half ownership of the Winchester Company. But wealth could not mend her broken heart. Desperate for solace, Sarah turned to spiritualism, a belief popular in the late 19th century. It is said she consulted a medium who delivered a chilling message: her family was cursed by the spirits of those killed by Winchester rifles. To appease them, she was instructed to build a house, one that would never be completed. A house to confound and trap the vengeful spirits. In 1884, Sarah moved to San Jose and began construction on her mansion. Builders worked day and night for 38 years, following her peculiar instructions. The house grew into a labyrinth of winding corridors, hidden doors, and rooms within rooms. No master plan existed. Sarah believed constant construction would keep the spirits at bay. The house's design defied logic. Staircases led to ceilings. Doors opened to walls. Some hallways looped endlessly, while others ended abruptly. It was a physical manifestation of Sarah's paranoia and grief, designed to confuse not only the living but the dead. Sarah lived in near isolation, accompanied only by her staff and the occasional visitor. She was known for her eccentric habits. Every night, she held seances in her blue room, seeking guidance from the spirits. By day, she roamed the house, directing the endless construction, her movements shrouded in secrecy. As the house grew, so did the rumors. Locals whispered of ghostly apparitions and strange noises emanating from the mansion. Workers spoke of tools moving on their own in cold spots in the halls. The house seemed alive, as if it had a will of its own. On September 5, 1922, Sarah Winchester passed away in her sleep at the age of 83. The construction of the house stopped immediately. What remained was a sprawling, unfinished maze of over 24,000 square feet, filled with untold secrets. Today, the Winchester Mystery House is a tourist attraction, but many believe Sarah's spirit never left. Visitors report hearing footsteps in empty hallways, doors slamming shut on their own, and the faint sound of a piano playing in the dead of night. Skeptics dismiss these tales as tricks of the mind, but others are not so sure. Is the house merely a monument to one woman's grief? Or is it truly haunted by the restless spirit Sarah feared so deeply? The Winchester Mystery House stands as a testament to the unknown. A place where history, mystery, and the supernatural collide. Perhaps the most chilling truth of all is that the spirits Sarah Winchester sought to appease may still walk its halls, waiting for their story to be heard.
The small town of Millfield had a secret. Beneath the calm facade of white picket fences and summer fairs lay an unsolved mystery that had haunted its residents for decades. A mystery whispered only in hushed tones. They called it the curse of the silent witness. Millfield was an ordinary American town, the kind where everyone knew everyone else. In 1983, a gruesome discovery shattered its serenity. The Miller family, father, mother, and 2 children, was found dead in their home. The house, located on Elm Street, became infamous not just for the murders, but for what the police found in the living room. On an antique chair sat a porcelain doll dressed in a Victorian gown, its face frozen in a lifeless grin. The doll was placed at an angle facing the door as if waiting for someone. While the family's deaths were ruled as a violent home invasion, the case lacked leads. But something didn't sit right with the investigators. And then there was the doll. Neighbors whispered about the Millers' obsession with antiques, especially the doll. It had been a gift from a distant relative who found it in an abandoned barn in the Midwest. Shortly after the doll entered their home, strange occurrences began. Doors creaked open on their own, footsteps echoed in empty hallways, and the children began talking about a lady in the gown who visited them at night. The doll disappeared after the crime scene was cleared, though no one admitted to removing it. Months turned to years, and the tragedy became an eerie tale passed down through generations. Yet the house on Elm Street never stayed vacant for long. New families moved in, drawn by its charm and discounted price, but none stayed for more than a few months. The same complaints emerged each time: cold spots, strange whispers, and most unsettlingly, the fleeting sight of a doll appearing in mirrors. In 2020, a true crime podcast reignited interest in the Miller case. The host, Amanda Tiller, had a knack for digging where others wouldn't. She'd grown up hearing about the curse of the silent witness and was determined to uncover the truth. Amanda managed to track down Lucy Harper, the Millers' former babysitter, now in her 50s and reluctant to speak. But with some coaxing, Lucy revealed something chilling.
Mrs. Miller always told me never to touch the doll. She said it was older than it looked and it wasn't a toy. Once I accidentally knocked it over and I swear I heard a sigh. Not a creak, not a draft, a sigh. The kids would blame it for everything. Their toys breaking, their nightmares. Even their dog wouldn't go near it.
Amanda's investigation took her to the county archives, where she uncovered a peculiar pattern. The doll's origins could be traced back to 1901, when a fire destroyed a local orphanage. The only thing salvaged from the charred remains was the porcelain doll. Over the decades, every family that owned it suffered unspeakable tragedies, deaths, disappearances, and even insanity. The podcast aired, sparking a wave of attention. Paranormal investigators flocked to the Millers' old home, but the doll was nowhere to be found. That is, until Amanda received an anonymous package at her studio, a dusty box with no return address. Inside was the doll, its glassy eyes glinting under the studio lights. Amanda decided to live stream her encounter with the artifact. Thousands tuned in as she narrated the doll's grim history. But halfway through the stream, something happened. A faint knocking sound echoed from behind Amanda, though she was alone. Viewers flooded the chat with comments. "Did you hear that? What's behind you?" Amanda turned, but there was nothing there. She laughed nervously, brushing it off as the wind. Then the power cut out. The live stream abruptly ended, leaving her audience in darkness. The next morning, Amanda's producer found her slumped over her desk, her face frozen in terror. The doll sat upright beside her, its grin somehow wider. The police ruled her death as a sudden cardiac arrest, but viewers of the live stream weren't convinced. They swore they'd seen shadows moving behind Amanda, shadows that didn't belong to her. Today, the curse of the silent witness remains an enigma. Amanda's studio burned down weeks after her death, erasing any physical trace of the doll. But the legend lives on in eerie podcast recordings, grainy photos, and the chilling accounts of those who dared to get too close. And in Millfield, the house on Elm Street still stands, empty, silent, waiting. Echoes of the forgotten. In the shadow of the Blue Ridge Mountains lies the town of Ashbourne, a place where whispers of the past refuse to stay buried. Every decade, without fail, a family vanishes from the old Hawthorne estate, leaving nothing behind but questions and a single chilling note: "I have come for what is mine." Ashbourne was the kind of town where everyone knew everyone, but no one dared to discuss the Hawthorne estate. Perched atop a hill, the mansion had stood vacant for years, a relic of 19th century grandeur now cloaked in decay. Its last known occupants, the Whittaker family, disappeared in 2013, sparking rumors that echoed back more than a century. The first recorded disappearance occurred in 1882, when the mansion's original owner, Elijah Hawthorne, vanished along with his wife and 2 children. Their belongings were left untouched, the dining table still set for dinner. The only clue was a cryptic note scrawled on the back of a family portrait. Debt paid in full. Over the decades, each family that dared to live in the house met a similar fate. In 1923, the Clarks, a family of 5, disappeared overnight. In 1954, it was the Turners. Each time, investigators found no signs of struggle, no evidence of foul play, just the same eerie note, handwritten in a style eerily consistent across generations. Local folklore blamed Elijah Hawthorne himself. As the story went, Hawthorne had struck a dark bargain to amass his wealth, promising something precious in return. When he failed to deliver, his family paid the price. But the debt, it seemed, was never truly settled. In 2023, on the 140th anniversary of the first disappearance, true crime journalist Evelyn Monroe arrived in Ashbourne to investigate. Her podcast, Echoes Unanswered, had gained a cult following for unraveling small-town mysteries. Evelyn was drawn to the Hawthorne estate, captivated by its tragic history and the chilling consistency of its disappearances. With the town's reluctant permission, Evelyn set up camp in the mansion. She live-streamed her exploration, sharing every creaking floorboard and shadowed corner with her audience. The house was a time capsule, its furniture cloaked in dust and cobwebs. In the master bedroom, she found a locked chest engraved with the words, "Promises kept." That night, Evelyn's viewers noticed something she didn't. As she narrated her findings, a faint figure appeared at the edge of the frame, a woman in a tattered dress, her face obscured by shadow. The live stream chat exploded. "Who is that? Did anyone else see her move?" Evelyn dismissed the comments as pranks, but the mood shifted when she opened the chest. Inside was a collection of personal artifacts, a locket, a child's toy, and a bundle of letters. The letters, written in Elijah Hawthorne's hand, were addressed to someone named Marguerite. They spoke of love, betrayal, and a desperate attempt to undo a bargain made in blood. As Evelyn read the letters aloud, the air seemed to grow heavier. The live stream's audio picked up faint whispers, unintelligible but insistent. Suddenly, the room's door slammed shut and the lights flickered. Evelyn's camera cut out, plunging her viewers into darkness. Hours later, local police found Evelyn's equipment abandoned in the mansion. The letters were gone, as was the chest. On the bedroom wall, scrawled in what appeared to be soot, were the words, "She is mine now." Evelyn's disappearance reignited Ashbourne's fears. Paranormal investigators flocked to the mansion, but none dared to stay past nightfall. The live stream footage, salvaged from Evelyn's cloud account, became infamous. Frame-by-frame analysis revealed the figure, Marguerite, or what remained of her, lurking closer with each passing moment. Today, the Hawthorne estate remains vacant, a monument to the unknown. Locals avoid the hill after sunset, swearing they've heard faint cries carried on the wind. And every so often, a new note appears on the mansion's front door. "I have come for what is mine." Nestled deep within the dense forests of Oregon lies the abandoned town of Stillwater, a place erased from maps and memory. What was once a thriving logging community is now a ghost town, haunted by the disappearance of its final residents, who left behind a chilling message. The woods are awake. Stillwater's origins were humble, its early 1900s population consisting mostly of loggers and their families. By 1935, it had grown into a bustling hub for the timber industry. But in 1947, everything changed. In a matter of weeks, all 312 residents vanished without a trace. Their homes were left intact, meals half-eaten, and tools scattered as if dropped mid-task. The only clue was the cryptic message carved into the town's welcome sign. The first search party sent to Stillwater never returned. When a second team ventured into the town weeks later, they found no bodies, no signs of struggle, and no explanation. Officially, the government declared the town abandoned due to economic collapse, but whispers of a darker truth persisted. Over the years, Stillwater became a magnet for adventurers and paranormal enthusiasts. Some claimed to hear voices calling from the trees, while others reported finding their belongings moved or strange symbols etched into the bark. Few stayed overnight, and those who did rarely returned. In 2021, investigative journalist Connor Hayes decided to document Stillwater's mystery for his YouTube channel, Beyond the Veil. Known for debunking urban legends, Connor was skeptical but intrigued. Accompanied by 2 cameramen, he arrived in the forgotten town armed with drones, motion sensors, and enough supplies for a 3-day stay. The team's footage began innocuously: empty streets overgrown with moss, houses reclaimed by nature, and the eerie silence of a place untouched by time. On the second night, the motion sensors outside their campsite triggered an alert. When they reviewed the footage, they saw only shadows shifting unnaturally in the tree line. Connor dismissed it as animals, but his cameramen weren't convinced. On the final night, they ventured into the forest surrounding the town, following a narrow trail marked with crude carvings of eyes and spirals. The deeper they went, the more oppressive the air became, and the forest seemed to close in around them. Their equipment malfunctioned, batteries drained, compasses spun wildly, and their GPS devices lost signal. Then, they found it, a massive clearing where the trees formed a perfect circle. In the center stood a towering wooden effigy, its arms outstretched and its face carved into a grotesque grin. As Connor approached the effigy, the wind picked up, carrying faint whispers that seemed to form words: leave or join us. The cameraman urged him to go back, but Connor was determined to document everything. Suddenly, the whispers turned to screams, and the forest erupted with movement. The shadows they had dismissed earlier now took shape, figures with hollow eyes and elongated limbs emerging from the trees. The team ran, abandoning most of their equipment. They reached their car at dawn, their escape captured only by the head-mounted cameras they had managed to keep. When Connor reviewed the footage, he was horrified to see that the figures had followed them to the edge of the forest, stopping just short of the clearing. Connor's video went viral, sparking renewed interest in Stillwater. Paranormal researchers, thrill seekers, and skeptics all flocked to the town, but none managed to replicate his experience. Some theorized that the effigy was a relic of a forgotten ritual, while others believed it to be a warning. Connor himself refused to return, haunted by recurring nightmares of the shadows and their hollow, watchful eyes. In 2023, a team of scientists attempted a comprehensive study of Stillwater. Equipped with state-of-the-art technology, they aimed to dispel the myths. But just like the town's original residents, they vanished without a trace. Their abandoned campsite was discovered weeks later, their instruments smashed and their notes unreadable, save for a single phrase scrawled across a notebook: "The woods are awake." To this day, Stillwater remains a place of fear and fascination. The government has cordoned off the area, citing environmental hazards, but the legends endure, and those who dare to venture close swear they can hear the faintest whispers on the wind, warning them to turn back before it's too late.